And Mr. President Sadat, I would like to ask, on what moral grounds do you think you can negotiate about the future of the Palestinian people with Mr. Bejin without the presence of any Palestinian representative whatsoever? Thank you.
One correction, my friend. I belong to the Palestinian people because I am a Palestinian Jew and there are Palestinian Arabs. And of course we want to live in human dignity, in liberty, in justice, in equality of rights. And then therefore I brought to the President a proposal of self-rule for the first time in the history of the Palestinian Arabs. Now we established a political committee. We stated our positions clearly, and the political committee will continue the discussion of this very serious problem.
What we are discussing really is in the Arab strategy that we have agreed upon in the Arab Summit conferences. But in the detail, I shall not, negotiate for the Palestinians. They should take their share. But in this Arab strategy, what I'm doing really, I'm not speaking for myself, but for this strategy in its principle. But I shall not put myself as a spokesman for them or speak for them. They should, in the next stage, join.
Mr. President, my name is Larry Frisch of Metro Media Television News. In your opinion, is an Israeli military presence on the West Bank the major stumbling block now to a solution to the Palestinian question?
I don't want to reveal what we have already discussed in the proposal that has been made by Prime Minister Bejin. He has shown his will to end the military government on the Western Bank. But we differ upon the issue, as I have told you, of a Palestinian state on the Western Bank and the Gaza Strip through self-determination.
My name is Edo Rosenthal from the Dutch television. A question to both the Prime Minister and President Sadat. You have been discussing the possibilities for a comprehensive settlement. Did you raise during your discussions also the future of the Golan Heights?
I can't speak for Syria or for the Golan Heights, as I told you. I'm only now concerned with the main principles in the Arab strategy. And whenever we reach agreement upon those points between us and in the committee in the political committee and in the military committee, after that everyone should negotiate for himself.
I agree completely with the President. I do want to express the hope that President Assad will join our common efforts. We want a comprehensive peace treaty. We want peace with all our neighbors, to the south, to the north, and to the east. And when President Assad agrees to negotiate with us, we will be willing to negotiate with him. This is the problem of the northern border of Israel and the common border of Israel and Syria.
Rifat Fouda, October Magazine. Excuse me, my President Sadat. I'm an Egyptian journalist and I want to ask Mr. Bejin in his language.
What?
In his language.
You want to speak to me Hebrew?
Hebrew.
I understand Hebrew.
Yeah. בבקשה אדוני יושב ראש ממשלת ישראל, אני רוצה לשאול אותך האם היוזמה של הנשיא סאדאת הביאה לשינויים עיקריים במחשבותיך וחשבונותיך, וגם אני רוצה לשאול אותך איך אתה רואה את העתידה של ישראל אחרי השלום, ואיך אתה רואה את עתידו של המזרח התיכון אחרי השלום, ואיך אתה רואה את עתידו של השלום עצמו. תודה.
קודם כל אני רוצה לומר לך שאתה מדבר עברית יותר טובה ממני.
תודה רבה.
I want to say to this young man, Mr. President, that he speaks a better Hebrew than I do. Congratulations. עכשיו אני רוצה להשיב לך עברית ואני אתרגם את דבריי לאנגלית כדי שכולם יבינו. אני מודה לך על שאלתך. אני מבקש לציין שביקורו של נשיא מצרים, אנואר סאדאת בירושלים, היה ביקור בעל משמעות היסטורית, וכך כל עם ישראל, כמו כל העם המצרי וכל העמים בתבל, מעריכים אותו. ואנחנו מאז הביקור הזה עבדנו היטב על תוכנית שלום, ותוכנית השלום הזאת הבאתי בפני הנשיא והסברתי אותה בפרוטרוט אתמול בפגישה המשותפת בין הנשיא וביני כשישבנו לבדנו, וכן בפגישה המשותפת של שתי המשלחות. עתידה של מדינת ישראל לאחר שיושג שלום כפי שיהיה עם עתידה של מצרים, אין לי בכך שום ספק, יהיה מזהיר. ושיושג שלום בין העמים במזרח התיכון, המזרח התיכון יתפתח, או כפי שאמר עוד מלכותו מלך מרוקו, הוא יכול להיות למעין גן עדן עלי אדמות. זו באמת ערש התרבות האנושית, ושוב תצא מכאן הבשורה של שלום ושל קדמה. לכן אני מאוד שמחתי לשמוע את שאלתך, וזאת תשובתי.
תודה רבה.
And now I will translate whatever I said in Hebrew into English with a Hebrew accent. I was asked what is going to be the future of Israel and of the Middle East when peace is reigning. And I answered, first, the visit of President Sadat to Jerusalem was a great historic event, a turning point. And this is being appreciated by all the Israeli people, by the Egyptian people, and actually by all nations. When peace is established, there will be a great future for Israel, for Egypt, for all the nations of the Middle East, which is being called rightly so the cradle of human civilization. And it may turn through cooperation and development, as His Majesty the King of Morocco said, into a paradise on earth. So we believe that now peace is the real condition for such development, and we hope that both will come.
John Trahan, CBS News. Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, now that you've raised the level of your discussions, how do you see the continuing role of the United States? Will you, for instance, be inviting Secretary of State Vance to take part in some of your talks? And is there somewhere down the road still a possible role for the Soviet Union in this process?
Well, we have agreed upon the participation of the United States and the United Nations in the political committee. But the military committee will be bilateral. Well, as for the United States, they will be in the political committee with us. The Soviet Union, we didn't exclude him. He excluded himself. Whenever he finds it agreeable to him, well, we have no objection from our side.
Mr. President, Asim Abdul Mohsen, Reuters News Agency, you have said that Egypt will call an Arab summit at one stage to inform it of the outcome of the peace process. Will this Arab summit be called after the Ismailia talks
And will the parties which have failed to attend the first round of the Cairo conference be invited to the second round once the conference has been upgraded to ministerial level? Thank you.
Well, for the first part, you have asked about
the Arab Summit.
The Arab Summit, yes. Until we reach in the committee an agreement upon the main issues, and namely the Palestinian issue on which we have differed. Until we reach this point, and as I say, as it is part of our Arab strategy, I shall not be in a position to ask for a summit, Arab summit meeting. But whenever we reach this, I think after that I shall be in a position to discuss with my Arab colleagues the possibility of a summit.
More of ABC News. Mr. President, since your return from Jerusalem, you have said a number of times that I have made my move, now it's up to the Israelis.
Yeah.
I wonder if you feel that the proposals brought by Mr. Beygen contain sufficient concessions to have justified your trip to Jerusalem and also to justify this summit.
Well, we have agreed upon certain points, and I said we have made progress on the withdrawal. We have differed among us on certain points, namely the Palestinian question. The proposal that has been made by Premier Beygen, as I told you, will be put before the committees, politically or militarily, and our counter proposal will be submitted to these committees, and I think until we reach this, we feel that the momentum that we have given to the peace process really is continuing. Yes.
Could you categorize those proposals? What do you think of them?
I beg your pardon?
I said, could you categorize those proposals? What do you think of them?
Well, as I told you, we have points of difference and points of agreement.
Mr. President, Alan Alter of United Press. You talked about agreement on the Sinai front. Could you be more specific and tell us what progress has been made on the Sinai, and have you accepted an Israeli proposal about withdrawal? And secondly, when you talk about ministerial level, does this mean foreign ministers exclusively in the Cairo conference now?
The second part, please.
You said you were raising the level of participation in the Cairo conference to the ministerial level. Are we referring to foreign ministers exclusively now?
I have stated before that in the political committee there will be the foreign ministers, and in the military committee there will be the defense ministers. For the first part that you have asked,
the specifics of Israel's proposals on withdrawal, have you accepted a line of withdrawal? How do you categorize it?
I have heard the proposal. Premier Beygen told us about it, and we are preparing our counter proposal in the military committee. But really, what concerns us in this respect is the comprehensive settlement. It is not Sinai that's the problem now, because as I told you, we are after peace, after genuine peace in the area. Regarding Sinai, this is a side issue, and of course in a comprehensive settlement it will be part of it. And as I told you, I prefer not to reveal anything and leave the military committee to work on the details and discuss proposals and counter proposals until we reach agreement.
Hans Lebrecht, several German and Israeli papers. He received an answer from Prime Minister Beygen about the PLO. Mr. President, I belong to these people in Israel who motioned to accept your peace plan in the Knesset. But don't you think, you didn't answer a formal question about the PLO, the role it should play. Don't you think that self-determination of the Palestinian people gives them the right to choose also their representative? Don't you feel bound yet to the Rabat conference about it of 1974? And what role do you think should the PLO play in the peacemaking process?
I have stated before the Knesset that the Palestinians should be a part of this settlement because, as I said, the Palestinian question is the core of the whole problem. Well, the PLO now is in the rejection camp. In spite of that, I sent them an invitation and they refused and excluded themselves. Well, I didn't exclude them. For the future, let us wait for what will develop.
Gentlemen, we have time
Thank you.
Excuse me, just a moment, please. We have time for 2 or 3 questions at most.
Mr. President, Bob Simon from CBS News. When you were in Jerusalem, Mr. President, you stated that peace would only be possible when the Israelis withdrew from all Arab land, including the entire Sinai Peninsula and East Jerusalem. May I ask you, sir, whether that is still your position today?
That's right.
When you speak of progress being made on the question of withdrawal, may I ask Mr. Beygen what he would interpret that progress as referring to specifically?
But Resolution 242 does not commit Israel for total withdrawal, and therefore this matter is a matter of negotiations to establish those secure and recognized boundaries which is mentioned in the second paragraph of Resolution 242. And this is the crux of our problem, to negotiate the conditions for peace in order to establish peace throughout the Middle East. This is what we are going to do in the next few weeks and months.
Ezra Binu, Israeli radio Arab station. Mr. President, Premier Beygen expressed the hope that President Assad join the peace talks. My question is, Mr. President, will Syria eventually join the talks? Is there any chance? And if so, how this will affect the rejection group in which it is a member?
Well, I can't answer this. You should ask President Assad. I can speak for him, as I told you. Whenever they find it convenient for them to join, we shall welcome them.
President Sadat, Jay Bushinsky of the Chicago Daily News. I'd like to ask you, first of all, in terms of this conference, which you called as a preparatory conference for the Geneva conference, it seems to me as if you're moving away from Geneva and turning the conference into a Cairo conference. And if so, or if not so, could you explain if the Cairo conference, preparatory for Geneva as it was set out to be, will reconvene at the committee level simultaneously, the defense and the political committees, or will they meet alternately?
Or will they meet?
Alternately, not simultaneously.
It has always been my conviction that without good preparation, Geneva will be a failure. I said this during my visit last April in the United States. I made my proposal, my first proposal, for a working group under Vance to start contacting all the parties concerned and a meeting to be prepared before Geneva for the preparation. What we are doing now here in Cairo is the preparation for Geneva. Geneva is not excluded.
But what about the simultaneous meetings of the two committees, sir? Will they meet at the same time in Jerusalem and in Cairo?
They are, as I said, they will be working in the context of the Cairo conference, and as I said, they will report to the plenary.
Right, last question, Mr. Zola.
For the Tawfiq al-Gumhuriya newspaper. Mr. President, does this mean that the Cairo conference will continue on the level of ministers, that the American foreign minister will come here and Mr. Waldheim will come here? And
let us hope so, but for sure we shall not go back. We are going forward.
You told us that the political committee will meet in Jerusalem.
Yes.
Does this mean that also Waldheim and Minister Vance will be in Jerusalem?
Well, we shall leave this to them.
Mr. Beygen, may I ask you a question, please?
Of course you may.
You said we are going to work now for a comprehensive settlement on the basis of 242 and 338. Can you tell us if you accept the principle of non-acquisition of territories by force, and are you going to apply this for the comprehensive settlement?
Yes, we are for a comprehensive settlement, and I accept the principle, the famous principle established under international law and practice. There mustn't be any acquisition of territory in the wake of a war of aggression. The war of the 6 days was a war of legitimate self-defense. As the President yesterday told me, yes, he does remember the slogans issued in those days to throw the Israelis into sea. So we defended ourselves, and this is my reply to you in complete accordance with international law and practice. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I'd like to have only one short announcement for the Israeli press party. Please go immediately to the buses to move to the airport. Thank you. Thank you all.
Mr. President, it was a wonderful press conference. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.